Hello everyone and welcome to the Kickabout. This is a first of our set of videos this week where we're going to be talking about our clubs, talking about what's happening in the transfer window today, as the transfer window has slammed closed about 5 minutes time actually, because it's the 9 o'clock deadline. Rather worryingly, it looks like somebody has left an unattended bag behind us. Do we need to...
Chicken, is it?
Yeah, maybe...
Say it, see it, sort it.
Right, so we're going to start off talking about West Ham and Chelsea's weekends. We'll talk about the games. We'll talk about how we've done in our transfer windows. Lee, let's talk Chelsea then, because it was a game full of drama.
Controversy.
Your take on the VAR drama?
Terrible.
It's getting silly, this,
yeah,
isn't it?
I feel really sorry for Fulham and the kid who scored as well, because there's nothing wrong with that. How they can call that a clear and obvious error, and they said they was not going to re-referee games with VAR, and they just have, and they found something out of nothing, because it's not a foul.
No. I think that, VAR is obviously in the spotlight for this, and rightly so, but actually I think the referee needs to take some of this as well, because he spent a fairly good amount of time looking at that on the screen.
Yeah.
He could have said, no, I still don't think that's a foul, and let it carry on. So is this another case of where VAR's got in his ear and it's sort of like sowed the seed of doubt a little bit, do you think?
That's the problem. When they go to the screen, it's almost like they have to change their mind.
Yeah.
Because they've basically been sent over there because the other guys in the VAR room have decided that he's made a clear and obvious mistake.
Yeah, it was and it would have changed the game as well, because Fulham actually played quite well in this game.
Well, yeah.
And I know I've talked about them saying that I think they can have quite a middling season. I don't think they can do anything too brilliant. They were good in this game, and obviously that youngster who scores the goal, that changes the game at that point. And of course, Marco Silva's fuming. You get the goal, very good header to be fair, from João Pedro, who continues to look like a very astute signing. Yes, I think, how much you pay for him?
52, something like that. 50.
Yeah, still a lot of money, but I mean, at the moment, you'd say money very well spent.
If he's going to guarantee you goals, you don't mind.
And with Liam Delap's injury, he is going to be front and centre. Obviously, Jackman has gone. And then, of course, the next bit of VAR controversy in the game. What was your take on the handball?
I think they got this one just about right. It's definitely a handball, in my opinion. You can't jump with your arm up.
Yeah.
I think it'd be soft to give. Mind you, the one they did give earlier on in the game was soft, but the push from João Pedro, that's something of nothing. And when it flicks up and hits his arm as well, his arm's not up or out or anything. I can't see that being given as handball.
No, I'm sort of with you on this one. I think the one where it flicks up and hits João Pedro on the hand. I've watched it a number of times. Initially, when it was going on, I think was this the early game on Saturday?
Yes,
it was. Yeah, because we managed to get back down to the pub and saw the second half. And initially, I was like, how have they given that one given the other one and not given that one? But then the more I think about it, and when you watch it in real time, he's jostling around in the box, his arms are everywhere trying to maintain balance. There was absolutely no way you should be giving handball for a little flick off the hand that really didn't benefit him in any way. But you're right, if you're going to jump up and have your arms up here, you're asking for trouble. As much as it's one of those ones that I don't really like seeing given, in 2025 it's a penalty.
Still blocked the ball, wasn't he?
Yeah. And obviously a very say comfortable penalty from Enzo.
Yeah, it's not who I'd have taken the penalties. But...
I was actually kind of surprised that João Pedro didn't take it. Is Enzo your normal penalty taker, or would it be Cole Palmer? Yeah. So yeah, all in all, it's been a really positive start to the season for Chelsea. I know they've not been at their absolute best in some of the games. I mean, the West Ham game aside, we were that poor.
I don't think we was actually that good in the West Ham game.
No, well,
it need to be.
We didn't, absolutely not. All jokes aside, you probably didn't get out of second gear. But the signs are positive for Chelsea. You've had a very good summer. You've sold a lot of players to bring in the funds that you needed to bring in the players that you've brought in, of which you, again, have brought in a lot of players. Who out of those players that have come in do you think is going to be the ones, apart from João Pedro we've already mentioned, who's going to make the biggest impact, do you think?
Esteval, I think he'll grow and grow throughout the season. Still a young lad. He'll definitely be key to us, especially if Palmer's out for a prolonged period.
Do we know how long he's out for?
Don't know.
Because he's missing the international break, isn't he?
So we knew it was definitely the international break he was going to be out for. Apart from that, we don't really know. I think it's a shame Delap got injured as well, because I think he could have had a real good season for us. He started strong, though he hasn't really scored goals. The rest of his play's been brilliant. His hold up play's good. He's a disruptor. He's going to have a good season, I think.
What about one player that is sort of flattered to deceive from what I've seen of him so far is Gittins.
Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff up to the box, and then his end product's pretty average. He reminds me a little bit of another Mudryk.
Yeah.
Like quick, skillful, does all the good stuff, and then his end product's terrible.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jury's still out on him.
Yeah. And I think obviously one going into the transfer window, going into the season, one area of the pitch that you always said needed sorting was goalkeeper. Are you surprised Chelsea?
I am
Didn't do anything about
surprised, but they've clearly got faith in Sanchez, and to be fair to him, he hasn't really done much wrong at the beginning of the season. I mean, he played well in the Club World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, in
on the
that
most part.
final, was
The
it the final?
It was
That was
unreal.
down,
Yeah.
yeah.
Apart from the 93rd minute when he tried to give him the ball. But can't expect too much of him.
Yeah, you get one a game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your one.
But no, although he hasn't really been tested the first 3 games of the season, he hasn't really put a foot wrong. So,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
if he has a season like that where he makes a lot less mistakes, so be it.
And defensively, do you think you've got enough at centre back? Obviously, Tosin and Chalobah have looked good so far, but have you got much behind them?
Got Fofana back. He's back on the bench. We got that Hatto that we bought. Obviously, Cole's out for the season.
Yeah, that's a big blow. That is.
And we got the young lad Anchampong as well. So, and he looks half decent. He's raw, but he looks half decent.
So I guess then looking at the transfer window as a whole, do you think that Chelsea covered off everything they needed to cover off? Do you think you've got enough to, go and achieve what you want to achieve this season?
I think we could have done with a couple more wingers. No, yeah, I think so.
Well, you still got
Pretty
Raheem
strong.
Sterling, mate. He's still there.
Yeah, somewhere. He hadn't even got a number. Left back was always an issue, but we bought that Hatto who can play left back. We've got plenty in midfield, on the wings, in the holding,
Yeah.
in the attacking. I think we've had a good window. I think we've sold a lot. I don't know how much it's up to now, but it must be over 300 million that we've sold.
I mean, I suppose the only slight question mark from my point of view, and you can tell me if this is something that worries you, is obviously you've adopted this policy of signing very young players. I think you said earlier that the youngest player you signed was João Pedro.
Oldest player.
Sorry.
Yeah, at 23.
At
So
23.
Tosin's still the oldest at 27.
Yeah, and I think the next one behind that is a jump down, isn't it? It's like 25 or 24.
Sado, yeah, at 25, I think.
Is there a danger that with obviously being back in the Champions League now, you are, fighting in all these competitions, you're going to be expected to go deep in a lot of these competitions. Is there a danger and a risk that with the lack of experience in that team that maybe consistency becomes a problem again, do you think?
Yeah, I think you're going to see patches this season where we go on little runs where we might not be getting results. Just the nature of having a really young side. But I think they've already started to show a bit more maturity from last season. You'd have games where would be 1 or 2-0 up and then they struggle to see them out. Whereas their game management, I know it's still early, but seems to be head and shoulders above where it was sort of beginning to middle of last season. So
Yeah.
they're definitely progressing as a team.
Yeah, I do think that I guess the whole footballing world looked at Chelsea and looked at what they were doing with their transfer policy, the way they were finding loopholes, the way they were selling players and whatnot, and the general turnover of players. And I think it's interesting now that this has almost now become the model that other teams might now look to adopt. And I think Liverpool have done something fairly similar this summer with the number of players they've shipped out from their youth team. I mean, Doak, I think his name was, the one that went to Bournemouth.
Yeah.
Barely played more than a handful of first team games and sold him for like 25-30 million. So I do think that actually for all the jokes and whatnot about Chelsea and the number of players they signed over the last sort of 3 or 4 seasons, they've actually now shown this to be quite an astute strategy.
A little bit gutted for a couple of lads like Torek George.
He's gone to Fulham today, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that was a sale. He's just got a 5-year deal there. A little bit gutted because I think he's going to be a good player, but at the same time, you've got all these wingers to try and get in front of at such a young age. It's not going to happen. So probably the best for his career, and also like Alfie Gilchrist, who come into the team a couple of times last year.
Yeah,
He's just been sold as well. And then
permanently.
he's
Okay.
got James and Gusto and that in front of him. So, probably best for his career.
Sort of fair enough. All right, right, to round out Chelsea then, if I had to ask you to grade Chelsea's window.
8 out of 10.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah, we've done well, I think.
What would
You
have made
guys
it a
might
10?
disagree.
A goalie?
Yeah, goalkeeper. Yeah. It's a shame we didn't get that Mike Maignan or even Donnarumma. That would have given us, I reckon, at least a 9.5 out of 10.
I mean, the stupid thing is Donnarumma's been playing football for what seems like a decade.
Yeah.
And probably is over a decade. And he still wouldn't have been the oldest player in your squad if
No.
you'd have bought him. So, yeah, no, all good with Chelsea, I think you have to say. Very good window, very good start to the season. Everything's looking positive.
Mm-hmm.
The anti-Maresca stuff has largely gone away now, I would say.
Yep.
Not really hearing
Don't
anything
hear any
about it.
rumblings about it.
So, yeah, all steam ahead for Chelsea. Right, let's
Ham.
talk about West Ham.
Big win.
I
Who
mean,
saw that coming?
nobody. I mean, we certainly didn't, based on our predictions. Not one of us gave West Ham a sniff. I think I went 2-1, and that was me. Sort of like my heart was telling me to be conservative. My brain was telling me I should have gone heavier. I mean, one of the West Ham fan channels that I watched went 6-0 Forest. He thought we were going to get absolutely shit on. But credit where credit's due, and I've given Potter a lot of stick. I didn't think he was going to change the system. I thought he would be too stubborn and stick to his ways. Do you think, though, that this was more he had to change it rather than he wanted to change it?
The thing is, he had nothing to lose in a way, did he? In changing it, because it was shit or bust, really. If he stuck to what he had and got pumped, he probably would have got the sack.
Yeah.
And if he changes it and loses, it's same situation, isn't it? And as it happens, he changed it and got results. So
Yeah, and I think I mentioned when I did the video with Dan last week that it feels like the system that he was employing wasn't best suited for the players we got. Bowen is the obvious one where you isolate him up front, and shock horror, he played a lot better when we played him out on the wing. It was very interesting to see that he dropped Todibo and Wan-Bissaka. That was quite an interesting decision, but it worked out really well. I thought Mavropanos is probably one of the better games I've seen him have for us. Walker Peters was solid at right back as well. The keeper didn't really have a great deal to do, which is probably just as well.
yeah,
But it's still good for his confidence, the fact that he's got a clean sheet in. And actually, the general balance of the team looked really good. And because we played the 4 at the back rather than the 3, it meant that Ward-Prowse and Souček in that midfield, they didn't have to do as many doggies side to side to cover off the wing backs. So actually, their lack of pace was less exposed as a result. Fernandez, new signing, thought he looked really good, given he's only had a couple of days max, I think it is, since he joined. He looked really energetic. It was good to see him linking out with Paquetá. The only disappointment from the game was probably Fulkrug. He was really ineffective in that game. And the difference between, and I've given Wilson a lot of stick, the difference between Wilson and Fulkrug was really stark at the weekend. Wilson gave us so much more intelligence, so much more. He gave us an out ball. He was coming short and getting the ball, and if he had to play with his back to a defender rather than trying to wrestle them, he was just trying to win a foul. It was really intelligent play, and I think actually.
where did you get him from? I'm surprised I let him go.
Well, he's.
Didn't need to didn't we?
So yeah, no, really overall good performance. Amazing to see Somerville back as well off the bench. He looked
Do you know what? When you played against us last season and we beat you, was it 3-1?
at home
Yeah.
at our place.
Yeah. He was the one shining light in your team.
Yeah.
I thought he was brilliant.
And bearing in mind, he's had 8 months on the sidelines
Mm-hmm.
with a really bad hamstring injury that never went away until he finally had the surgery. To come back in and have that impact off the bench, I know he was only on the pitch for 10 or 15 minutes, but he was so positive when he got
Yeah.
the ball. Sets up the first goal, albeit slightly fortuitously, and Bowen makes a really good finish. The second goal, though, when it falls, I think Paquetá makes a block, it falls to Somerville. He's inside his own half, and he has no thought in his mind other than just
Go forward.
go forward. And that's something we've really lacked, that real just positivity when you get the ball, and he wins a penalty from it. Let's talk about Paquetá.
Kissing the badge.
Yeah. Obviously, I was like everyone else, I was sort of half seething with rage when the rumours dropped that he had apparently refused to travel because Villa had put in a bid and he wanted to go. I was full of rage at this point, so I was like, there's no way that everything that's happened, that he's going to leave at the first available opportunity. Turns out he didn't. Apparently, it was obviously Agger did that. He's fucked off and he's shit anyway. I don't care. But Paquetá probably put in his best performance for West Ham that I've seen for a long time as well. He was everywhere. He was outstanding. He looked after the ball. There was less of the diving around on the floor, which does frustrate me about him. But obviously the celebration was really telling. And it was, I'm not going to lie, it brought a little smile to my face because it really, to me, just sort of like symbolised stop fucking listening. And I'm sure Shearer will talk about it in his video. Stop listening to people like Fabrizio Romano.
Yeah,
And
into at least January.
what a 6 months though. And yeah, took his penalty really well and did obviously the celebration, kissing the badge and everything. And it's so sometimes when things are going your way, that little thing, it's just an extra lift. When you've got a player like Paquetá, when you're a club like West Ham, you don't get players of that quality very often. And if you do, you don't tend to hold on to them for very often. So the fact that we get to keep him for a minimum of another few months until January, I don't think he'll go in January. End of the next season is probably more likely if he is going to go.
How long has he got left on his contract? 2
more years, I think. So we either need to sell him next summer and get maximum value or tie him down. So if things, I mean, you know, it is very difficult to not be reactive in football. And I don't want to go too over the top because we've had this amazing game and beaten a below par Forest. But if things do continue that way, maybe that will be enough for Paquetá to think, okay, there is a future here that we can build from. Whereas if it went the other way, I don't see him signing another contract. So we'll have to wait and see.
Who's your next game against?
Spurs. And
Easy win.
Spurs were awful
They were terrible.
against Bournemouth. Again, me being reactive on the thing with Dan last week, we were talking about Man City and Spurs and how great Spurs looked. They were fucking awful against Bournemouth, and it was brilliant to see.
There's some really good compilations out there, Spurs fans, the streamers and that, after the City game. We're back and all this lot, and then flicks to him after this game, oh, we're shit. Worst game I've ever seen, blah, blah, blah.
However, I do think that it is almost one of the safest bets in football to put a fiver on Kudus to score against West Ham. I think I can see it coming from a mile off. Now they've got Kolo Muani as well, which is a good signing after today. So, yeah, from a transfer window perspective, very mixed, I would say, from West Ham. From the outside in, what would you say about our window?
Yeah, I probably agree with that.
I'd say probably a 6 out of 10.
Yeah,
would be
5, 6.
Would be my value. I think Juve is a good player.
Yeah.
Walker Peters and Wilson. Walker Peters, especially as an astute signer. Wilson,
Do you think
the
you'll
jury's still
keep
out.
Wan-Bissaka out the team now?
I don't think he'll be in the team for the next game based on that performance. It will be interesting to see how Potter deals with that because Wan-Bissaka, I mean, that was literally his first bad game for us. He was our hammer of the year last year, most consistent player by a mile. Yes, he was very bad against Chelsea.
Terrible.
And Walker Peters, despite the loss, was actually quite good against Wolves. So it was interesting. I do think he'll rotate it a bit, but I do think Peters will start against Spurs. The only thing he might be worried about, I'm not entirely sure how fast Walker Peters is, but if Brennan Johnson's playing on the left, Wan-Bissaka might be, you know...
Just stand on the back post, he scores 10.
So, yeah. So Juve's good signing. Tadibo, obviously, we made permanent, but that was already done and dusted. You've got Wilson, who's coming on pretty low money, and obviously it's all heavily performance based and based around whether he plays. So that's sort of lowers the risk a little bit. If he plays like he does at the weekend, then fine, give him that fucking money. That's fine.
Also increases the chances of him actually playing well and wanting to play because he's going to want to earn his money.
Exactly. And if he gets injured, then we're paying him an absolutely dog shit rate of money from a professional footballer point of view. So it does help with that. Hermansen, jury's very much out. I mean, he had very little to do in that game, so he needs to, whenever the next game, probably against Spurs when he's going to have more to do, that will be the test. Can he find a way? There were rumours that we were going to go in for another goalkeeper today because they were so worried about our goalkeeper situation. Even though we just signed Hermansen, they were worried. We didn't in the end. Maybe that's reactive off the weekend because Hermansen had a better game. I don't know. So, yeah, overall, I think the makeup of the squad is in a good place. I think Fernandes looks good. I think that's a good signing. I don't know much about this guy from Monaco, but from what I've seen, he looks quite pacey and good on the ball. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes. So the 6 out of 10 or the 5 out of 10 could become a 7 if Fernandes and this other midfielder work out, because the midfield was the one area we really needed to sort. It's just ridiculous that we left it as late as we did to sort it, because it should have been sorted in the summer, because it was starkly obvious last season for probably about 12 or 18 months. So yeah, all in all, I'm not too unhappy with the transfer window. It could have been better, could have been worse. Yeah, I don't think there's much else to say on West Ham at the moment. So good positive win for a change. It doesn't undo all the shit that's going on behind the scenes. One win does not suddenly absolve David Sullivan from all his shit.
You think a week ago you were praying for the international break, and now you've just done that. You didn't want the international break to come.
Football is such a mad sport, it can turn around that quickly. But for us, going into the international break off the back of 4 games and 4 bad performances and 4 losses would have been awful. To go in now off the back of that 3-0 win, could have been 4, by the way, because Bowen nearly scored a wonder goal until Wilson's attacking instincts kicked in and tried to take
It's
it
like
off
watching
him.
the kids on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it really was. Bowen was less than impressed, and Wilson was trying to laugh it off. I'm not sure Bowen was in the mood for laughing at that point. But yeah, it's a massive lift to go into an international break off the back of a performance like that. So we'll have to see how it continues. It'll be also very interesting to see if Potter continues with that formation. Does he go back to a 3 at the back?
It'd be mad not to really get a result like that compared to what you had got. I think you got to stick with him.
You have to, surely. So yeah, we shall see. Right, thank you very much everyone for watching. We will be back. Obviously, Dan and Shearer are going to be covering off Newcastle and Manchester United. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you all next time.
See you later.